like to call to order the fourth meeting of the Mayor and City Council on Monday, January 24th, 2022 to order. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Mr. DeWalt. Mr. DeWalt.
Here.
Mr. Cole.
Here.
Mr. Mitchell.
Here.
President Smith.
Here.
Mr. Sidnor.
Here.
Mayor Mel.
Thank you. Moving on to agenda item number 3, approval of minutes. The 42nd meeting of Monday, November 22nd, 2021. B, first meeting of Monday, November 22nd of 2021. And C, the work session on Wednesday, December 1st, 2001. Can I entertain a motion?
Mr. President, I make a motion to approve minutes from November 22nd, 2021, the 42nd meeting of November 22nd, 2001, and the work session of December 1st, 2021.
Can I get a second?
I'll second.
You. So work session on. Thank you, Madam Clerk. And I'm sorry, I'm getting through my agenda.
Mr. President, you have a motion and a second. Would you like for me to call the roll?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Sidnor.
Yes.
Mr. Cole.
Yes.
Mr. DeWalt.
Yes.
Mr. Mitchell.
Yes.
President Smith.
Yes. Right. Agenda item number 4, report of the Mayor and City Council. Councilman DeWalt, start with you.
Good evening, everyone. I have a couple things to announce to the community. On January 11th, I attended the Elizabeth House along with the mayor and Council President Smith. And they were honoring a young couple who has been volunteers with them, I believe I thought they said 25 or 27 years for the Elizabeth House. It was a great honor to meet them, and they are the true example of volunteerism in our community. On January 17th, I attended the virtual meeting with the Martin Luther King program, and Christine did an absolute fabulous job again this year. I think this is her 4th year doing that, 3rd or 4th year, and it was a great job. And I'd like to just commend her on getting Marilyn Dawson to speak, who lived through a lot of the civil rights of the 60s, which, I was a teenager then, but and I could just imagine sitting around the fire and drinking a glass of wine and listening to her stories. She must have a vast knowledge of things that happened during that time. And I find all those things that happened during that time and everything are a critical part of our history. And it was a great program, Christine. On the 20th, I had my public safety and transportation meeting. One of the things I focused on, is the biggest problem we have in Laurel's is speed. And they in the 1200 block of Montgomery Street and Brooklyn Bridge, they put these squares in. They're small, fairly large squares along the roadway. And when I looked it up on the internet, it's supposed to slow traffic down. Well, I did find them in the 400 block of Talbot Avenue in lane 1 and lane 3. Lane 2 doesn't have them. But I was told by one of my committee members who lives right on Talbot Avenue, just past those squares, is that in the middle of the night, about 2:30, another car came flying around that corner. And she heard a loud collision, and then she saw all the red lights and everything flashing. And she said, I really didn't even get out of bed because I'm so used to people driving up into my yard and everything. And so I went the next day and I looked at it, and you could see where the car, it had to be excessive speed. She hit a curb, jumped a curb, went up into her yard, and then went into the neighbor's yard and destroyed 2 bushes, which were completely shot out of the roots and all, shot like 10 feet away. And then the only reason she didn't get into her neighbor's house was there were 4 trees there, and you could see a big chunk of wood taken out of one of the trees. And thank God those trees are there, and it stopped that vehicle from going into her neighbor's house. I don't know. That's not sitting too well as far as those little white squares in a 400 block of Talbot Avenue as being have any effectiveness on the speed coming up that 300, 400, and 500 block of Talbot Avenue. On January 21st, I volunteered with all our veterans, and it's always great seeing them at bingo down at American Legion Post 60 and all the good work they do for our community. On January 23rd, I was up at the out in the Boys and Girls Club parking lot, and it was Council Member Martin Mitchell. He had a great program out there for about 3 hours. There were a couple food vendors. One of them actually was giving out vegan food. I'm not a fan, but I heard it's really, really good for you. And the other one, I'd like to give a little shout out to it. The organization is called Saving Ourselves, and the owner is Tori McAllister, and he partners with Whole Foods. So you know that, and I could look at the food, and you could see that a lot of the food was very, very healthy food, and a great person, Tori McAllister. And also they had a community care, which is an organization that helps out with psychiatric rehabilitation and behavioral health problems. And they were also giving out boosters. They were giving out actual vaccines, and they were actually doing the testing there. They had their own little tent doing that type of work. And it was an absolute great program for our community. It was very convenient for our citizens to get to, which is the most important thing, I think, about the vaccines and the boosters and the testing. Then I read where Governor Hogan opened up 10 sites across Maryland as far as testing sites. We have our own up at the Laurel Hospital site. It's off of Van Dusen Road, of course. And there's a testing site, and the signs are clearly marked. There's a lot of them there from Monday through Sunday, 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. The only thing about it, make sure the constituents are aware that if there's inclement weather, real cold or snow, they're not going to be open. And they do put up some signs next to the testing set signs, and they're handwritten. So they're a little bit difficult to see, but you could see them once you pull in there, and they are closed during those times. I'm excited because February's coming, and that's what we were promised with the O.R. George and Associates Incorporated, the traffic engineers and transportation planners. And these are the people that are doing our traffic and our parking survey that we spent a lot of money for, and we're hoping that this will address a lot of the traffic issues, the parking issues, and things like that. And I can't wait to see the results of what they come up with. That's all I have, Mr. President. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councilman DeWall. Councilman Sidnor.
Thank you, Mr. President. On January 15th, on Dr. King's birthday, I did a pop-up voter registration drive. It's something I do every year during Dr. King's birthday. I went to several barbershops inside the city and registering people to vote, and also telling them about the important elections coming up, midterm election coming up, and things of that nature. So I went to a Cut Above Barbershop 1 and 2. I also went to Mr. Smith Barber Studio and Precision Lounge as well. So thank those owners for allowing me to come into their businesses and to register people to vote and talk about voting registration. So look forward to doing that every year during Dr. King's birthday. And I also want to thank Director of Barnes Communication Department, along with her staff, Christine Johnson and Councilman Martin Mitchell, for the MLK virtual celebration they had on the Sunday on January the 16th. It was a very well-informed program. And thank you for putting that together. That clear my report, Mr. President. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Sidnor. Councilman Cole.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'll keep this brief and relevant. On the 18th, I attended the Historic District Commission meeting. And I wanted to thank all of our city employees for the past couple winter weather events, for all that they've done to make sure that our streets are cleared. I do snow removal on my day job, and when it's nice to come home and see how nice our city is compared to some of the other jurisdictions around us during winter weather. That concludes my report, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilman Cole. Councilman Mitchell.
Thank you, Council President. DeWalt, Councilmember DeWalt and Councilmember Sidnor, they had already touched on the awesome program. So I was glad to participate in the virtual program for MLK to celebrate his legacy. And also the clinic / food distribution that happened this weekend. So, you know, those were some great programs I was able to participate in, and no need to re-emphasize it. Thank you. That concludes my report.
All right. Thank you, Councilman Mitchell. I just want to, for my report, I'd just like to, like Councilman Cole said, thank the city employees that are keeping our streets clean with the snow removal. I know that's a hard task, and it's, you know, much appreciated by the citizens here, especially me, myself. I'm from Connecticut, where I know how, you know, how the importance of clean streets, and it's nice to know that our city keeps our streets clean that way here, because as soon as you go into the county, you can see the difference between the city of Laurel and the county. So you're much appreciated. And that concludes my report. Mayor Mo?
Thank you, Mr. President. Condolences to Finley DeCarmo family, member of the Laurel Rescue Squad for many years. Finley passed away, and had the opportunity to attend his funeral on behalf of the mayor and city council. And Finley was a very dedicated and loyal member of this rescue squad, and the city, very involved, him and his wife Pam both. Also, I want to give condolences and remember firefighters that were killed in the line of duty today in the city of Baltimore. 3 of them were killed in the line of duty, and 1 is still in surgery in critical condition. So we wish and hope for a speedy recovery for him. But again, just a sad day in the city of Baltimore today, and our condolences go out to the city as well as Baltimore City Fire Department and all the families that are affected. I do like to remind everyone, since it has been snowing, we had foul weather. If you live on a snow emergency route, please do not park on those routes if it starts snowing, especially in the evening hours. If not, and we put the snow emergency in effect, we will have to tow cars and you'll be ticketed as well. If you're not sure if you live on a snow emergency route, please call the Department of Public Works, or you can check our website out. There's a map there that shows all the snow emergency routes. We have asked the state of Maryland, our delegation in Annapolis, for some funding. We met this afternoon and reiterated for our partners that are working with us down in Annapolis that we are looking for money for the multi-service center. And we're also looking for money for the dam ruins. Those that may not know, the dam ruins in 2000, I think it was in 2009, we received some state funding as well as some city funding, and worked on the dam ruins. They're in bad shape again, and it's important for historical reasons as well as the safety of the parts of the dam that are left that we try to stabilize that. We had a report done through the engineering firm, and tomorrow, members of the council, you'll receive that report as well. I received it late this evening before I left. The Reeves Across America did their cleanup on Saturday. I apologize, I couldn't be there, but I did want to thank the volunteers and thank the committee for Reeves Across America for cleaning up Ivy Hill, and also the public works crews and our facilities crews that helped get those cleaned up. As you know, we pile those up at this cemetery, and public works is able to come by and pick those up for Reeves Across America. So at Ivy Hill, they were able to do that over the weekend. And as I said, I apologize because I was at a funeral. I did have the opportunity to take part in the Martin Luther King Day of Service. I want to thank everybody that was involved. I thought it turned out very well again. And I appreciate that and was glad to be a part of that. Also, the Friday before Dr. King's Day of Service event, we were city employees, although we've cut it way back as we've done in prior years, and honored our memorial site out in front of City Hall with a wreath laying along with the council president. I appreciate Brencis being there on behalf of the council. So that was done again this year. The COVID-19, I just want to let everyone know there, as you've heard, Laurel Hospital continues to do testing. The mayor and city council provided funding to Laurel Pharmacy and Mart over there at Route 1 and Mulberry Street. There is vaccine that you can get, as well as testing that is being provided by the city. You have to call for an appointment, but for at least the next 3 months, we'll be providing that service. And we are working now to get some home test kits in. We hope to see those within the next week or so start arriving, and then we'll work on a distribution on how we'll provide those out to the community. I have gotten a couple calls and people that have come up to me about the plastic bag ban. Appreciate what we have done. They're happy with seeing grocery stores in particular go back to brown bags. And want to thank Michelle Blair, who is touching base with all of our community stores and working with them on alternatives instead of plastic bags. We did honor, as you heard Councilman DeWalt bring up, over at Elizabeth House, Anthony and Dorothy Antonio. They had 26 years of service to Elizabeth House. Several of the council, as well as myself, were able to meet the president of Elizabeth House, as well as Mr. and Mrs. D'Antonio. And we were happy to do that, and appreciate all their volunteer service that they've done over the years. Let me also at least acknowledge my mother and father, who had 68 years of marriage on January the 16th, and want to congratulate them. And the last thing I had was there. You can see around town, there are some poles that are up that are attached to other poles. Those are some of the things that your Councilman DeWalt bring up about the traffic study. Those are doing traffic counts throughout the targeted area for this traffic and parking survey that they're doing. We hope that the weather works with us so we can continue to get this, for them to get it done, so get to the mayor and council and see what kind of ideas they may have to help solve some of our issues in and around the community. So that's what you're seeing, these polls. I've had a couple calls, and they went up last week, and they are moving around in different areas of the city. So that concludes my report, Mr. President. I do have one proclamation that I'd like to read. It's Proclamation 2022-1, whereas we celebrate Black History Month. Let us pay tribute to the contributions of past generations and reaffirm our commitment to keeping the American dream alive for the next generation. In honor of the men and women who have paved the way for us and with great expectations for those that follow, making America a nation that is more just and more equal for all its people. And whereas this month we recognize the courage of so many hardworking Black Americans whose legacies are woven into the fabric of our nation. We are their heirs to the exemplary progress that they have been able to make, yet we still have substantial obstacles that remain. Whereas Black History Month is the opportunity to gather and remind one another that Black Americans and others achieved their success with the help of others, whether it was signing the Emancipation Day Proclamation, the March on Washington, or the Black Lives Matter movement. No race or culture in our nation's history has overcome diversity or the struggles for equality completely by themselves. Now, therefore, I, Craig A. Moe, the Mayor of the City of Laurel, do hereby proclaim the month of February as National Black History Month in the City of Laurel, and encourage all its citizens to observe and commemorate this month with the appropriate program, ceremony, and activities. And that concludes my report, Mr. President. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Moving on to agenda item number 5, we have the mayoral appointments. We have A, Carlos Lancaster and Sean LeVere for the Community Redevelopment Authority. I'd like to entertain a motion.
Mr. President, I make a motion to approve the appointments of Carlos Lancaster and Sean LeVere. I mispronounced his name, I apologize.
Can I get a second?
Second it.
Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Mr. Sidnor,
Yes.
Mr. DeWalt,
Yes.
Mr. Cole,
Yes.
Mr. Mitchell,
Yes.
President Smith.
Yes.
Thank you.
Moving on to agenda item number 6, the general public hearing. Madam Clerk, is there anyone signed up to speak?
Mr. President, there's nobody signed up to speak.
All right, thank you. I'd like to open the public hearing at 6:22 p.m. and I will close the public hearing at 6:22 p.m. Moving on to agenda item number 8, legislation. Second public hearing with possible action on resolution number 1-22, a resolution of the mayor and city council for Laurel, Maryland, established the City of Laurel Advisory Committee relating to the redistricting of the city ward boundaries. And Madam Clerk, is anyone signed up to speak?
Mr. President, there's nobody signed up to speak on this item.
Thank you. I'd like to entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion that we approve the advisory committee for the redistricting of our voting areas in Laurel.
Mr. President,
Yes,
before
ma'am.
you ask for a second, you'll need to open the public hearing.
I'm sorry, please forgive me. I'd like to open the public hearing at 6:23 p.m. and I will close the public hearing at 6:24 p.m. All right, can I get a second?
A second, Mr. President.
Councilman, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Mr. DeWalt,
Yes.
Mr. Sidnor,
Yes.
Mr. Cole,
Yes.
Mr. Mitchell,
Yes.
President Smith,
Yes.
Mayor Moe.
I'll concur. And Mr. President, before you adjourn, I did forget one announcement I do need to make when you're ready.
Sure.
Okay. I'm sorry to hear you.
No, I said sure. Go ahead, Mr.
Okay.
Mayor.
I did forget one thing. Our Black History Month program will be on February the 6th. And it'll start at 3 p.m. and end at 4:15. Guest speaker is State's Attorney Aisha Brayboy, who will be doing this virtual, and want to encourage everybody to sign on. It's a good program and a lot of good speakers. And I'm sorry, I forgot to report that under my report, but thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Well, if there is no further business to come before City Council tonight, this meeting is adjourned.
No.